Hello there everyone, and welcome back to Shogun 2 Total War with the Total Fall of the Samurai mod, which I've been able to get my hands on a preview on the newest version. This version, however, only contains infantry, so we'll be only looking at infantry in this battle that I'm going to play against the AI right now. This is not a replay, even though it might look at this point. It's just that I wanted to start off taking a look at the different units. So what we see before us is the English army, and we're facing off with the Russian army that is marching over here. So kind of maybe a Crimean war scenario in a sense. And yeah, let's go ahead and start off looking at the units. I've taken as many different units as possible, almost. Not really everyone, but most of them. And so first here we've got the light infantry going ahead of the British column, and we've got the Gurkhas right here. One thing that I noticed though when selecting the Gurkhas is they're not actually that good at melee, which seems strange since I believe the Gurkhas are most famously noted for, well, the Gurkhas, their knives. So the melee fighting. So I'm not entirely sure. Maybe they need to be boosted a little bit. In terms of that, but obviously this is a work in progress, so that might come later. Anyways, this is the Gurkhas, and then next to the Gurkhas I think we actually have another unit of Gurkhas, or maybe it's just... no, this is normal rifle. So this is a normal rifle unit, and then to this is, let's see, these are the Welsh Fusiliers, I believe. They've got interesting pads there on the shoulders. Following the Welsh Fusiliers, we've got the Black Watch. I've got 4 units of them. So we've got 4 of those units. We've got the General moving in right here. And let's see, who are these? These I don't exactly remember, so I'll have to actually go out of this. So King's Own is marching up here. And then we've got Sepoy infantry marching over here. So you can see they have made quite an improvement since the campaign I played for this mod. Let's see, what else do we have? Well, we have the Grenadier Guards marching up here. And to the next we've got, I believe, the Coldstream. So the Coldstream Guards. And then to the side of them, we've got the Royal Marines marching up here. And then behind the Black Watch, we've got the Sutherland Highlanders. There's quite a few different Highlanders in this mod. With that said, we're actually closing into the enemy, so let's draw into battle preparations. We're going to march into this open area right here and then conduct a battle against the enemy. As my army gets to that position, we'll actually turn them to be facing the Russians, shall we? Like so. Don't tell them to run, no, we don't want them tired, just like the AI has done for their Russian army. And we'll go ahead and go through the Russian units. So right here on their left flank, we've got some Grenadiers, which are repositioning right as I was looking at them. So we've got some Grenadiers. I really like the flags, and that they're different for everyone. We've got the Pavlovsky Guards, with they still have that sort of really famous Grenadier cap on. Looks nice if they could actually stop, so we could take a closer look at it. But yeah, the Pavlovsky Guard, very nice unit right there. Let's see, then we have another guard unit coming up here. If they would just stop, let's go to the other side then, or middle. Oh, they're about to stop right now. Right, so let's go back to the Pavlovskys. Oh, they've got a Japanese guy in the middle there. So very nice unit. And then we had the other guards. Ah, they disappeared in the forest. Right, we'll go to the next one then. So next up, we've got some infantry. I think you've seen these guys, possibly. I think I showed the screenshot of these on my community page, or maybe it was the ones basically like these, or same kind of helmet, just that they've got the grey coat on. Here we've got some infantry, and behind them some more grenadiers. And as we go through here, we've got some Ukrainian Jaegers. I think these were the actual guys that I showed in the picture. Some more grenadiers. Some infantry. Vladimir Alexandrovich. More infantry. Here's the Russian general. Big thick beard. And as we go through, there's more of those guys. Let's see, there's some Cossacks, I believe. Or not really Cossack infantry, but I guess kind of-ish. Looking at their hat. Obviously this is a work in progress, so right now it looks as though... I mean, it doesn't look as bad on these hats, the white sort of stripes that are on it. It looks a lot worse on the British Grenadier hats, where it looks just like small spikes going out of it. We've got the Russian Marines, more of those, and another Jaeger unit. Right, and I think my army is about to come into position. So the enemy is really outflanking us here. They put a lot of their good troops on our right, so we want to see what we want to do with that. I think the first thing we'll do is send out the light infantry, and so I think we can hold the enemy quite well on the right side, and then we're actually gonna smash their strong side here by dragging that into the open and destroying it on the open field. So I think we're gonna send most of our riflemen, so the Welsh Fusiliers and the riflemen will be moved over to this area and then moved forward through there. Tell them not to run. The Gurkhas will move to that forest over there. The Sepoys will be moved over there to follow those guys. And then we've got the King Zone will move down there. Black Watch goes straight up the middle, followed by basically everyone else. And then since we're attacking a lot of heavy guard units on this side, the guards are obviously going to move on this side. So let's go ahead and see what I said about the hats here. So if you look really closely, there's like lots and lots of tiny little spikes on them. Let's see if we maybe can just stop so I can take a closer look here. So this is what I'm talking about. It looks like a cactus, which looks kind of strange. It looks better on the... I'm calling them Cossacks, but I'm not entirely sure. Let's see. There they are. So it looks better on these because the kind of spikes, you can see it actually looks kind of like hair. But obviously this could be just a matter of the fact that it's a work in progress, so they haven't actually gone in too much on the units just yet. So it's King Zone here, marching up. Sepoys. There are a lot of other nations as well. Well, the only new ones, I guess I should show you the other ones as well, possibly. We could have, because they've put in the Dutch now, so we've got Dutch infantry. So I probably will show you that army as well, possibly fighting against the Prussians, because I think most of the uniforms and stuff have been updated for most of these units. We're also gonna see a new reload animation, which I'm not entirely sure how necessary that was. It's been a while since I played Shogun, so I can't exactly remember how it looked in Shogun, but it was never in my mind that it was like, oh, this is a really bad sort of musket reload animation and it needs to be changed. I never really thought about Fall of the Samurai in that way, so I'm not entirely sure if the new one is an improvement. But I'll let you guys decide as we actually draw into battle here. Let's go ahead and speed this up a bit. Okay, so I think it's high time we moved out of column into line because we're coming quite close to the enemy. So we're going to draw out in quite thick lines. So one of the things is different in between the British army, which I kind of notice, and the Russian one is, I think the Russian one, most of their units, kind of, sort of all of them fire, while in the British I think it's only the first line or first two lines that fire. So the Russians can move in thicker formations or thicker lines. I don't know if this is actually true. We should actually check this, because I only noticed that during playing sort of a test battle before this. And that was actually quite a while ago since I played that test battle, so we'll test my theory if this is actually true or not. Let's have the rifles and stuff move up into the forest and hopefully start engaging the enemy. As soon as the sepoys are ready, they will follow and hold there. I think just because of the heavy forest and stuff, and how the bullets on the accuracy and stuff is not anywhere near what it is in sort of normal Fall of the Samurai, which is, I mean, in normal Fall of the Samurai it can at certain points get quite ridiculous in just the firepower that's been able to put down on the enemy and just absolutely trash everything that comes in your way. So looking at the terrain here, I think this is actually a pretty good place to hold, because if we continue forwards, we'll end up down here, and then we'll have to fire up towards the Russians. And if we want to close the distance, we're going to have to climb all the way up here to come into range, and they'll still be sort of shooting down at us. The thing though is we're going to move the rifles forwards, provoke the enemy, and hopefully get them to attack. My plan here is, you know what, let's get the King's Own and the Royal Marines, and we'll march them downhill to prepare a attack on the flank on these guys as they move forwards. Soon enough we'll be coming into rifle range and start exchanging fire with the Russians. Hopefully the Russians will sort of, as they attack towards this forest, it somehow sort of create almost like a half circle as more and more gets drawn towards there. I guess some will continue forwards to the main line, but we have a great opportunity here to fire at the Russians in the flank possibly. So right now, oh, these guys are actually within range, so tell them to hold. Now they're gonna, the Gurkhas are gonna fire into the forest. So we can see the reload animation here. So he stops, there he goes. So I don't know how much, like how necessary changing the reload animation. Obviously this is work in progress, but I don't know how necessary it was and how good it actually looks. So quite heavy fire coming down here towards the Gurkhas from a lot of regiments, so they're gonna pull back. Same with these guys, which are now coming under fire from the enemy. So if we can turn quickly there, and these guys can turn. And then the sepoys, we'll actually quickly move them into a flank. They're gonna be out in the open, which is not gonna be ideal, but that's the way we're gonna do it. And then try not to have this unit fire on the rifles ahead of them. So the Gurkhas are pulling back. They'll pull back to the forest, hopefully dragging, we can see dragging at least 2 of the Russian units, but most of them seem to be switching over to this side. So the Welsh Fusiliers and the rifles are holding good, suffering few casualties, but holding the enemy, which was the intended plan. This one is basically just here if the Russian decides to come even closer, but I don't think they will. These guys, let's see if we can push them all the way into forest. Could be dangerous. I want them to I want the Russians to commit more troops though towards either side, so I can really send forwards the main portion of my army to attack here. Okay, so the enemy in the forest is actually turning to face our men. I guess this unit is safe enough, so let's try my theory about the thicker unit. So we'll move up here in a 4-line deep, and we can see the Russians are holding very deep lines, where even the third one is firing. And even though they're putting down this much fire towards the Welsh Fusiliers and the rifles have suffered 8 casualties, about 9 now, and the Welsh hasn't suffered any casualties as of yet. The sepoys here, not so lucky. They're trying to get information before they fire, which is taking quite a while. Right, I believe you are ready for battle. I guess I'll have to tell you to kneel fire, and that should hold you in place, and hopefully you will start to fire and stop being such idiots. Okay, I'm going to tell you, order you to attack on fire. Right, clearly this is not working for some reason. The sepoys don't want to fire at all. I'm not entirely sure if it's the angle or something. The morale is dwindling as well. So let's go over to this side. So no, it wasn't actually correct. You can see multiple lines here firing. Sepoys are taking quite heavy casualties. They're really only supposed to be in the back of these guys, just protecting against possibly bayonet attacks towards the riflemen. And the riflemen are holding well. They are inflicting quite heavy casualties on the Russian troops, so they don't really need the sepoys to come in and aid them. And clearly the sepoys didn't even want to aid them, because they didn't fire at all. So maybe they could be more casualties now. I don't want the sepoys to fire though now when they're in this area behind, because they'll probably just shoot friendly unit. At the same time over here, the Gurkhas have lost quite a lot of men. I think most of them were lost out here. And we've got a Grenadier and the Pavlovsky Guard. And then it's high time, actually a bit late, for these units to be committed into an attack on their flank. Same time, we can see the Russians are actually clever enough not to commit their entire force, which I don't like. The Sutherland Highlanders will then move to actually do what the sepoys should have done, which is get good fire down here. They have got this guy right there. The thing is, I cannot advance too much forwards towards this hill right here, because the enemy will have the upper hand and it'll be a very hard fight. One thing I want to do though is get the guard units to have them close here, so when the Russians go ahead and attack, I can quickly move them forwards. So these guys, the Royal Marines, are on their way to go into the attack, while these two, I think we'll head these two more over to this side, while these two continue straight forward towards the enemy. So at this point, the rifles are doing really poorly, so I'll pull them back even further into the forest. They're about ready to break which is not good. My rifles, well, now the Welsh Fusiliers have actually suffered some casualties, but I imagine nothing near close to what the Russians have, moving in such thick formations. Oh, I don't think we saw these guys. They kind of look like they have a fez. They have a red hat. I don't think we saw them before. I wish I had cannons, because then I could just... I mean, a few cannonballs going through this would cause absolute mayhem on the Russians. Let's see if the Sutherland Highlanders are like cannonballs as we send them forwards to open fire on the enemy. Okay, so the enemy Grenadiers are turning to face the Royal Marines. So let's quickly move into a position where we can return fire on them. So a lot of bullets, you can see them hitting right here, because if you look closely here, sort of just being able to look over there on the lip of the hill. We'll move up the rifles. I'm not entirely sure where they sent the... Oh, the Pavlovsky Guard retreated. Right, Sutherland Highlanders, they'll be concentrating on this unit and absolutely blow it to pieces. They are closing in. They're very close at this point to the rifles. Good fire here by the Sutherlands. And looks like they've yet to receive single casualty. Oh, these guys are taking some casualties. Once again, the reload animation. I'm not sure that it is such an improvement, and it was necessary to change it out. And the thing about it is, the well, obviously it's a work in progress, but they don't have one of those reload animations for any unit that's kneeling. So currently, anyone, sort of the kneeling units, when they reload, they will stand up. Oh, this is not going to go well for the Gurkhas. If the Gurkhas had good, you know what? Let's send in the general to support. Let the Gurkhas show their melee capability by charging in on the retreating Russians. Right, Royal Marines will continue their advance into the forest. And the Gurkhas are stabbing the Russians.
Sir, your general is under attack.
By friendly fire, I presume. Right, the Gurkhas are about to give way. They're a bit overstretched. There's only 27 of them left. Let's see, how's it going for the Sutherland Highlanders? Taking quite heavy casualties, but I imagine they inflict even more, since some of the Russian units on this side has lost over 200 men. And if you look at what the rifles aren't suffering any casualties whatsoever almost. And one of the Russian units is even about to collapse. And at the same time, we should be able to start our attack on the Russian left as we push forwards here. What we could do is actually have the Black Watch move forwards, but I think the enemy, as soon as the enemy commits in the forest here, commits the troops to take on the King's Own and the Royal Marines, then is when I will send forwards these two Black Watch to flank them. Let's see, the Southern Highlanders, you know what, the general does have different abilities, rally abilities and so forth that we can use to inspire the Sutherlands to perform quite well. Oh, the Sepoys have lost quite a lot of men, so I guess the reason why the Welsh Fusiliers and the Riflemen have done so well is the fact that the enemy is actually firing on the sepoys rather than firing on the riflemen. So they're firing over the head of the riflemen onto the sepoys, which is a very silly strategy. General is on his way to inspire the Sutherlands, which at this point has almost... Oh, someone is out of ammunition, they say. And who would that be? Is it... I guess it's the rifles then. Yes, I guess. Yes, the rifles. The Welsh Fusiliers have fired every single round. The question is, I mean... The sepoys will lead, and then we'll have basically a bayonet charge to clear off the front here, but then we'll have to fall back because of just the reinforcements of the enemy here. But it's good that I've been able to send over the general to support my men. If you can actually ride pretty fast out of the way, that would be nice. So the sepoys will lead the attack in an uphill charge, and once they've passed the Fusiliers and the rifles, they will follow, and once they have started their attack, the Sutherlands will follow. So here comes the charge. The sepoys charge in, followed by the riflemen and the Welsh Fusiliers, and soon after that we have the Highlanders coming in. Looks as though one of the Highlander units took quite a heavy beating as charging up there. Okay, so the enemy, I think it's best if we actually get into the forest. And then quickly have these two advance. So looks as though we broke the enemy's troops there up front, but we lost a lot of men, and it's time to retreat. Thing is, the Russian army still has a lot of troops. They've only sent 2 to deal with all the troops I've sent over here, which I don't know how well it's gonna go for them. Not everyone is firing here, so I'm not entirely sure. I guess they can't see the enemy on the other side. These guys are able to lay quite a heavy fire down upon the enemy. And then the King's Own will be able to lay quite heavy fire as well. I'd hope, but I guess they don't have an angle either, so they'll have to move even closer. And we can see the enemy is now moving forwards. They're sending a lot of troops over to this side. Let's see what actually made it out of here. So all the units made it out, but there's not a lot of men left. So I don't think those guys are going to be very useful. Oh, the enemy actually moved forwards to attack the King's Own. And now they're basically firing point-blank range at each other through the forest. These guys aren't really able to fire a lot, so we'll push them forwards, and these guys push them forwards as well. These guys not doing too well. They're out in the open getting fired from these guys. You know what? These guys are about to break. So a flank charge by the second unit of the King's Own will charge in on this infantry and hopefully break it, clearing the forest for my men. There we go. So I want these 2 units to move forwards and these 2 units to take place. So, right. With this going on, and they seem to be committing all their troops, the Black Watch will advance, followed by the guards, and the general will follow in this attack as well. So now the Russians are more or less committing their entire army against the King Zone and my Royal Marines. I'm hoping everyone here has a good range. Yes, looks like everyone is being able to lay down fire. We are in the forest, which should cover us quite well, while the enemy is out in the open. But you can see the amount of regiments they've put down to face us here. What is my plan? Right, you know what? Get these over there, while the Highlanders will come up on the ridge and will actually run up there right now to get in position. And I guess we can use these guys, even though they're more or less spent. So the line is holding still. King Zone on this side is not doing too well though. The enemy is sending 2 regiments to face the Highlanders. So it's going to be quite a heavy brawl, because we're going to get very close here as the men fire. I'm going to inspire this one, because this one's going to face the most of it. The general is going to be placed right there, and the Russians have started opening fire. And I want you guys to put down suppression fire, so increase the rate of fire. So it's going to be very bloody battle here in between the Highlanders and the Russians. But we need to get rid of these so we can put more fire down on the enemy here. So I'm not sure why these guys aren't firing. They should have a clear view. It could be that just some of the troops are able to fire. I'm not entirely sure. Okay, we need the guard troops to get a move on, so they can start flanking from this side. Come on. Right, turn this unit a bit. We're pushing down a lot of fire. The Russians are still holding though, which I'm quite surprised that even though they've lost so many men. Are they gonna move in to fight us? The thing is, the Russian units are larger than ours. Right, finally we broke them. Keep it up, lads. Oh, these guys are back. That's not nice. Right, the Russians are doing a very slow kind of bayonet charge into us. And there they go. Lost them. There we go. They are about to break. And the Highlanders have kind of completed their mission. These Highlander units, I'm not entirely sure why they never fired, but that's caused them to get utterly destroyed. But now we can focus on fire on the rest of the enemy army. So we can now put down focus fire towards the enemy over there and over here and so forth. And the enemy has started to shoot at the guards, which quickly needs to move into line. The remnant units will try to move around in kind of a flanking maneuver. It's not actually going that well for me, is it? Because the Russians still have tons of troops there. But now I'm actually getting that flank fire in. I mean, if this unit over here doesn't hold against these guys, that could turn this entire flank upside down, sending all these men down towards the Highlanders. And that's not going to work well, because there are not that many Highlanders left after facing those Russian regiments. And the angle is not really well for us, since we're forced to attack uphill. Come on, guards! This is not going to go well, is it? Especially not with you guys mucking about like you are right now. This unit is going to lose a lot of men if they keep this up. I'll tell them to fall back a bit, regroup. Maybe that will work. I'm not entirely sure why these two aren't firing. I'll move them even closer. So the enemy has moved a lot of men over here, and we can see they're kind of falling apart on that side. And they've focused so many men over here. I am being able to... Oh, there we go. Now the Grenadiers. Grenadier Guards. Good flanking fire here towards the enemy. And now these guys are firing as well. The superior firepower of the British Army will stand victorious here. But it's going to be at a cost of a lot of casualties. So it's a hard fight, but it looks like I would say that it looks like I'm going to win right about now. Oh, we actually have our first one of the Black Watch units have retreated. So first unit of ours to completely break from the fight. I'll rally this one or inspire it to put down devastating fire on this unit to the point where it's kind of breaking. And we have a rifle unit breaking in there. The Russians are falling back, or at least some of them. We'll keep the pressure up by advancing. And now the forest has nearly no pressure on it at all, which means that I can get this one. So all the King's Own will support towards this one, which is now falling apart. We've got the Jaegers doing an attack. So this is the Ukrainian Jaegers attacked my my guard unit, my Grenadier Guards. Obviously it was not going to go that well. And it's not going to go very well for the Russians at all. Look at them, they're about to break all over the place. Let's see if we cannot cause a collapse of their army by charging in bayonets. We've got the general close by, inspiring them. Highlander End Guards charging into the Russians. This one's about the Life Guards. The Russian Life Guard is about to break as well. There's not that many of them. Almost look French, don't they? I guess they were inspired fashion-wise by the French. Let's push forward. Let's continue the melee push here through the Russians. We're not going to be able to get that guard unit there though. The Prebryansky guard. Let's tell the general to open fire here. Maybe get some shots into this one. Was it Cossack Jaegers? Like right into line and open fire on the guard unit. Oh, we got another charge. The Jaegers are back. Not entirely sure what Jaegers those are though. Some good volleys here. And the guard's about to break. The general has almost been shot down. King's Own are about to get attacked again by the Moscow infantry. The guards are dealing with the Jaegers. And there we go, the guard has retreated. The only thing left now on the map fighting us is the enemy general. I bet he will run soon enough, because he's running into these guys. Oh, you can't form square, can you? Sutherland Highlanders turn to face the enemy. I don't know why he decided to do that. Maybe I should let him leave? Maybe I should shoot him down. Tell the sepoys to turn and fire. Right, that's enough. It's only the general left, and we'll let him leave. And there we have it. Victory, even though it's quite costly victory, but victory nonetheless. And most units are actually still on the field, even though they're down to, they've lost at least 2/3. Actually, 3/4, I guess. 75% for most units in terms of casualties. But there we have it. So hopefully you liked this, and hopefully you liked the look of this. And if you want me to show off more of these armies, we've got the Dutch and stuff, and I think they've updated the different kinds of uniforms of a lot of the other armies, like the Prussians. And maybe I should play as the Russians against the Dutch. Seems rather strange, but that could be one thing. Who else is in? Well, the French. I guess the French have updated uniforms, possibly, and so forth. But yeah, this will be it for this video, so hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully I'll see you guys for the next one. Bye!